whistle on?
That there are technologies at the South Pole Station that people can't even consider that exist on this planet. Directed energy weapon systems is something that people need to get in their vocabulary. Left is up and running, and that, again, is a multifaceted directed energy weapons platform. Geographical boundaries and political parties mean very little to the wealthy elite on this planet. We're pawns, we're chattel.
Welcome back. My name is Renee, and this is Highly Motivated, a channel where we check out different things that I find interesting, and hopefully you will too. Today, we are going to be hearing from a supposed whistleblower named Eric Hecker, and he was on the Sean Ryan show disclosing some pretty crazy things. Now, my thoughts on whistleblowers is that there are really no whistleblowers. There are just people that are used to disseminate information because the natural law is that they have to tell us what they're going to do. If you're new here, do me a favor, subscribe to my channel and like this video, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you're always notified when I upload a new video. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So I wasn't really sure where to start with this because there's just so many things that this guy said, and I really think that even though whistleblowers are not organic, in my opinion, we should be listening to what they say and also be trying to maybe read between the lines a bit as well.
I physically held a key that opened every single door in the facility. I had complete access to every compartment they manufactured.
What are you blowing the whistle on?
That there are technologies at the South Pole Station that people can't even consider that exist on this planet. Directed energy weapon systems is something that people need to get in their vocabulary fast. The ice cube neutrino detector is not simply a passive listening device as presented for the science that they're claiming it to do. It also has the capacity to transmit. There are embedded in the ice what are called digital optical modules, DOMs. They're about the size of a basketball. The array embedded in the ice is 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. It is the world's largest telescope, and now because we have proven that it can transmit, it's the world's largest directed energy weapons system. It is responsible for the earthquakes in Christchurch, New Zealand. I physically...
Yes. Just more proof that these things, these natural disasters that are happening, probably are not as organic as they would like us to believe. He even discussed quantum entanglement in the interview. Now, the different things that they are doing down in Antarctica and the South Pole are, way outside the scope of what I understand, but let's go.
Can you explain quantum entanglement communications?
Yes, I don't think most people understand what I'm about to say anyway. But I will. The way quantum entanglement works is that you can take two particles, quantum entangle them, and then take those two particles and move them at any distance in the cosmos. And let's just say, for example, if you quantum entangle two electrons and you have them spinning in the same direction, and then you take one of those electrons and you shoot that thing out 100,000 light years from the original. If you then rotate the spin on the one electron, if you modify it so that its spin changes, the quantum entangled electron at any distance will simultaneously in no time switch its rotation also because they're quantum entangled. So these communication systems are taking advantage of this aspect of quantum mechanics that most people can't wrap their heads around, and this is what they're utilizing. It's just the new level of science that affords us the ability to communicate at any distance instantaneously.
Can you explain quantum entanglement communications?
Wow, I can think of a lot of ways that could be abused, right? Like if they could figure out how to entangle you with something that is within their control, they could essentially use you like a voodoo doll, right? Like, and have they already done this? Is this what's going on when there's mass things, with the S shooters, things I really shouldn't talk about with the, on the YouTube, but are they being mind controlled? How long have they had this technology? And you notice how a lot of those people who are in those situations will always end up having some sort of like background talking in a chat room with someone who is like government, or they're like groomed for that, right? Now, here is more of the technology that we've already suspected and maybe known that existed, but another confirmation maybe.
Let's just say throw your voice into your head, or my voice into my head, or allowing algorithms that now they can blanket a whole geographical area and they can make everybody change their thoughts. They can, I use the term intrusive thoughts. Back to that fork in the road analogy.
Groupthink.
If you find yourself where you have to make a decision about something, next thing you know, you catch yourself kind of having an argument in your head with your own voices. Well, the ability to add another one of your voices in there, but have it controlled by somebody else's microphone, so to say, is a very powerful tool. And I think this is a weapon of war that we are seeing happen to everyone around us.
Yep.
The Department of Defense recently started initiating protocols for their employees, their agents, to discuss Havana syndrome-like symptoms. And on that list is that their agents are hearing voices in their head. And this is what they're getting at. This is that technology that, next thing you know, you're trying to make a decision, but there's another Sean in your head that now is actually somebody else's control. And through the manipulation of that voice, they can now push you, just like we have, the cell phones are weaponized now, the social media platforms, and they can engage with an algorithm, and they know that they can push you in a direction by repetitive information being displayed in front of you, similar to the tachistoscope in grammar school, that they can learn your system and they can learn to manipulate it on a personalized level.
Now, when you combine that with the fact that they supposedly have a running AI model of every citizen, and I'm sure this could be on a global scale, so they can basically game out how you're going to react to any situation. And imagine deploying this on a mass scale, like say in a city all at once, putting thoughts to, purge or something, murder everyone you see. Like, it could get dangerous real quick.
Just assessing you, what the things are that you're interested in, what are your weak points, what's the crack in the dam, what's the angle of attack. And
Yes.
It's through repetition and access. These are
Scary.
simply electromagnetic impulses in your head. It's not that they can't be read, it's not that they can't be copied, and it's not that they can't be just replayed with somebody else's control. I mean, I could get a voice changing thing and I could sound like you if I wanted to. I could call you on the phone, I could call your loved ones, and I could pretend I'm Sean. And they can do that for you in your own head. Years of research. The McDonald's Corporation just had an ad come out a few months ago that they're looking into research and development in a technology that will afford them the ability to pump their commercials into your brain while you're sleeping. Do you think that they figured this out, or some other company figured it out first?
And these things are always introduced through corporations, and we're led to believe that government and corporations are separate, but I don't think that they have been in a very long time.
You think if they're going to have this
Large corporations.
available to them next year, you think that there weren't agencies that have been wielding this for a decade or so?
Right.
You're 100. Is there where can I read about this?
It's immediately available on the internet that McDonald's put this out there.
McDonald's
Corporation is looking into putting commercials into our brains while we're sleeping.
And we can look that up.
Absolutely.
I gotta look that up.
Understood.
I've not heard of that.
Understood. But now imagine if they can do that next year,
Oh, I'm with you.
who's been doing it for the last decade or so?
I'm with
Right.
you.
Right?
100% with you.
So now when we look around the world and we see everybody acting the way that they are acting, let's consider that these intrusive thoughts have already been present.
Yes.
What do we do about this? These are the weapons of war contemporarily. It's very
Now, I would argue that they have had this for longer than 10 years, and I would argue further that this is fallen angel technology that is just being reintroduced.
unfortunate, but it used to be that war was a bit more noble. When we selected people, we put them in uniforms, we sent them over there to the battlefield, and we said, fight for us.
Right.
And effectively, that would have been an act of attrition of each nation's resources until there was a victor. Now, unfortunately, they've circumnavigated the battlefield. Nobody's dressed in uniforms anymore, and the front line is every neighborhood that we're in. And the infrastructure is still under attack. It's just that now the average mortgage payer is in the line of fire. The list of Havana syndrome-like symptoms, which my South Pole crew and many South Pole crews are suffering, that other agencies are suffering, if people pay really close attention, they're going to notice that these symptoms are prevalent in the general population as well.
Interesting. I interviewed a former man, back to the putting voices in people's heads. Are you aware of any ways to defend against that?
Know thyself. It's an ancient practice, and it's an ancient practice for a reason. These modern technologies are bastardizations of ancient techniques. Way back in the day, they would call someone a magician who was adept at this skill.
Yes.
I could walk into the room and I would potentially have that skill set to put my thought in your head. It's just a technique. It's completely doable. But now we have people that are no longer going through these schools of nobility to learn to practice these things nicely. And we have evil people that are taking technologies and utilizing them, because again, it's just simply electromagnetic impulses. They can be read, they can be used, they can be hijacked.
And there is nothing new under the sun. This has been done before, and the devil has the same tricks that he just uses over and over again, and it's like, why change them if they continue to work? And know thyself, and also know your God. Know Jesus. That is the only way. He is the door, and he is the only thing that can save you in the time that we're in. We're at the end, man. Like, we don't really have that much longer, in my opinion. Things just keep escalating. He goes on further to describe a few of the other things that are going on down there.
I mean, is there anything else going on down there? I mean, we just went through a lot of stuff here.
Yes, actually. There's a system known as ELF, extra low frequency. It's also a massive antenna that's embedded in the ice there. When I arrived to the facility as a tradesman and firefighter, I was read into how everything worked, because I needed, for the safety of my crew, to be able to battle fires and engage things appropriately. And at the onset, I was told that the ELF system is off. It's defunct, it's disabled, it is just sitting dead in the ice. But through my need to make an additional repair on something else and tracing back to a sub-panel, I was finding the circuit that I needed to lock out, tag out, and do all the safe repairs. But then I noticed that this other breaker that was supposed to be off was in the on position, and it was listed as the ELF. And I ran it up my chain. I said, what's going on here? I said, this is supposed to be off. I was told it's off now. And I was just given a hard, it's on. And that was the end of my need to know. They didn't want to tell me anything else.
Yeah.
You have identified the circuit that you need to work on. You have been informed that you can safely do your job. Carry on.
And
so I did my...
How many people are doing jobs where they know just that little teeny bit of information that they need to do their job, not realizing that, you know, combined with all of their coworkers doing the little pieces of work that only they're allowed to talk about in their little sections, that they're doing something extremely evil that hurts people that they love. And like, you even see the videos of the people who do chemtrails, and they will show you what they're doing, and they're like, yeah, I get paid $1,000 a vial, and like, you have to breathe the air. Like, what are they telling you to make you okay with harming your family as well? I mean, and yourself. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Job, I made the repair that I needed to on the circuit next to the circuit that I was now informed is duly on and operating. So the ELF is up and running, and that, again, is a multifaceted directed energy weapons platform.
Yeah, I bet.
Do you have pictures of any of this stuff?
Wow.
I have a lot of pictures of me in these facilities. They mostly just prove my presence.
If you hand those over, I'll display them on screen right now. If I can get them.
I can get you pictures before you present this to the world.
I would appreciate that. Let's talk about the clear air system called ARROW,
Yes.
commonly referred to as the no-fly zone.
Yes. The ARROW building, ARO, is the Atmospheric Research Observatory. It is listed on the chart, the one that I gave you as well, as a no-fly zone in the vaguest sense of the term at first glance. But as any pilot knows, there's always, fine print. So the no-fly zone, as listed at the South Pole Station because of ARROW, simply provides a limit to the ability for a plane to fly too low. It sets the floor at 8,000 feet. You can't fly below 8,000 feet. A lot of people like to try to claim that there's a hole at South Pole Station and there's a no-fly zone that protects from you flying in an area that'll see the hole. And that's just total shenanigans. The no-fly zone limits your ability to fly low, not high. So with that height available, you will see everything available to see, which is ice as far as the eye can see. There is no hole in the ice at the South Pole Station. There may be one somewhere else. I can't testify to the entirety of the continent. It's huge. All I can say is that when people are talking about there being a hole at the South Pole, they're full of crap. They don't know what they're talking about. They're taking something that they know very little about and just running with it. They say in other ways that, a little information is a dangerous thing, and that's what these people are doing, is they're operating off of very little information.
Is there...
And isn't that kind of the point of disinformation campaigns? They throw you little bits of truth with things that are like totally outrageous, so that way, people who don't have a firm foundation will get lost in the weeds. And I always ask God to guide me. When I hear something, I will ask God for a confirmation, and if it's true, He will guide me to the realization of whether what I'm believing is true or if it's false. And you can only, that's what having a relationship with God is, putting your faith and trust in the fact that God's got your back, and whatever you're going through is part of the plan, and you're going to end up somewhere that's better than you thought you could have been. But I'm off topic, so let's keep going. Now, at the end of the interview, Sean asked Eric if there was anything that he was missing. And to end off the video, we're going to hear what he had to say.
Eric, is there anything that I'm missing that you want to bring to the public?
That's a great question. I want to emphasize that we are currently in a state of war that people aren't realizing.
What is that?
These weapons are being wielded around us, against us. There are power players that are above nation states. Geographical boundaries and political parties mean very little to the wealthy elite on this planet. We're pawns, we're chattel. I am a person for the people. We, the people of this planet, deserve a better future than the one we are being presented.
Yes.
We've all, through our blood, sweat, and tears, we've invested here in the United States. We've invested our taxpayer dollars for these people to create weapon systems that they're using against us. It's a sin. It's illegal. It's a sin. It's immoral, and we have to do better for the future generations of this planet.
Are you worried for your safety?
No.
Why not?
I'm just simply beyond that. I don't,
I'm just telling you what they told me I was allowed to say.
I don't really care what happens to me. I care about doing the right thing.
Do you think you're in danger?
I guess theoretically people don't like me doing what I'm doing.
I would say probably not.
Fair enough.
But work, if that's it, that's a lot of info in a short amount of time, and I really appreciate you coming here and inform us all. So have you been approached by any media outlets?
I've been approached by a lot of people,
Really?
and I pretty much tell them to go scratch.
Why do you tell them that?
Because I can tell from the way that they approach me, they're not looking to do justice by what I'm saying. They're what I refer to as dissipators, people that are looking to waste my energy, divert it into the wrong direction. I'm very fortunate, and I would say blessed, to have met someone like yourself who seems to be on the up and up and going to fight the good fight on this stuff, to get to the actual brass tacks truth and present it to the world in an untainted capacity. There's a lot of bad things going on this planet. I'm sure that you've experienced it yourself firsthand, and you're aware that a lot of people don't know that these things are happening in the shadows. I want people to know what's really going on this planet so they can make educated decisions about what they have to do to protect themselves and their children.
Well, that's very noble of you. Man, I really appreciate it. That's a lot of info to process.
I understand.
It's going to take me a minute to come up with questions, and would you be willing to come back?
I would.
Okay, so he doesn't really have anything else to say, but my problem with a lot of these whistleblowers is that they really don't divulge anything new. They kind of say the same things that you can find in any TikTok video. And yes, it's kind of a confirmation, but they just always seem kind of contrived to me, and I really hope everyone takes whistleblowers with a grain of salt. But I thought that what he had to say was quite interesting, and it just made me think about what's going on in Maui with the fires, and then that the tropical storm or hurricane that they had, like, just perfectly at the right time. And we keep hearing about these technologies that they can just basically sick on us whenever they want. And it is a fact that when a democracy fails, it will fall into fascism. And I really feel like people do like to throw that word around, but that is what true fascism is. But I thank you guys for coming back and joining me again, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, stay prayed up and stay highly motivated.